So Ukraine reportedly uses the long-range missile for the first time to blow up Russian weapon facility as Putin issues nuclear warning to America. And Rob, if you have the clip, is this the clip of Ukraine attacking Russia?
This is Russia using the ICBM last night into Ukraine.
They're saying it looks like, and mind you, I worked at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, ICBM missile site. This is what it would look like at night. They're saying that he's doing it to show force with obviously nothing, no warhead on it, but just they're saying that this might be him showing like you
firing off,
firing off,
but there is no warhead.
There's no warhead on it. Oh yeah, you would know, dude. That noise.
No warhead in it. If there was a warhead, it's a different story.
The camera's this guy's gone. They're all gone.
This is last night.
Oh, that's fear. You hear the fear? It's. I'm telling people.
Rob, where is this? It's still causing damage.
Oh,
but
it's
not
causing
the damage of a
no.
nuclear bomb, obviously.
Pat, if it was a nuclear warhead, that first wave, this guy would have felt the impact that he's done. Yeah. That's scary.
So that's this taking place, and then you have Putin that comes out.
That's wild, man.
Putin comes out.
Sounds like an airplane, doesn't it?
Sounds like an airplane. These are the ones at nighttime, Rob.
I saw this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
Sounds like Boeing testing 737s.
Yeah. See,
There's three of them. I saw the.
This is what I was talking about it looking like it's a ICBM.
This is where this is in Ukraine.
This is just fast. This is the fast. The fast forward part of it, but that's what they would look like, guys. That's when that type of stuff is happening. It's like
so. While this is going on, you hear Putin allows nuke response to U.S. missile as he signs off on World War III escalation. What does that mean? He signs off on World War III escalation. Let me read it to you. So Putin updated Russia's nuclear doctrine to permit nuclear retaliation against the West if Ukraine fires long-range missiles into Russian territory and move into Kremlin's Dmitry Peskov's confirmed as targeting aggression with the use of conventional weapons following the U.S. approval for Ukraine to use these weapons 190 miles. Peskov warranted this policy reserves the right to use nuclear weapons and marks a significant escalation in the conflict. Vinny, what else do you know about this story?
Well, here's the thing. Look at it. Let's not forget about the timing. How many more days does Joe Biden have, Tom? How many?
20 in January, 31 in December, and about 8 right now.
Okay, and it was his birthday yesterday. He's 82 years old.
60 days.
60 days left. Okay, yeah. And let's just be honest. First, he is not making any decisions. Every headline that we see about Biden did this, Biden did that. Let's all agree it's not Joe Biden. Okay, and let's remember the Biden administration started this war. They knew Russia would invade when we were publicly pushed Zelensky to join NATO. Let's all be completely honest. That's what they all want. The left and a lot of these Republicans on the right. And let's not forget on January 9th, Biden addressed, that address that he did, Tom, where he said, if Russia, Russia will be held accountable if it invades. And it depends on what it does. If it's one thing, if it's a minor incursion, we won't really do anything. This is Joe Biden inviting Russia to invade Ukraine, okay? And then he basically attacked them and openly talking about expanding NATO. Because I wanted to ask you guys, if right now, I'm just going to pick somewhere, China wanted to build set up shop in Mexico, what would we do, Pat? I'm just asking you guys. What would we do if they came and they're like, hey, listen, we're going to go to Mexico. We're going to put up a couple of missiles.
I mean, like Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's what
Kennedy said, get your crap out of Cuba. It's too close to me.
Yeah, and what almost happened?
Well, yeah, we almost launched missiles, went to war, but they blinked and they pulled the missiles out of Cuba.
Yeah, and here's the problem. We're not even able to hear what Russia is saying because remember, the EU banned the platforming of Russian media. RT News and Sputnik, we can't even see what they're saying. They pulled out all the way that we could communicate or even talk to these people.
So this guy sent me a Manect,
yeah.
Okay? And he's leaning towards a Ukraine argument, Tom. And here's what he told me, okay?
Okay.
And Tom, I'm going to go to the U.S. Embassy closing in Kiev, and I want to get your thoughts on that as well here in a minute. But I want you to see what this guy said. Reasonable guy. I would like to offer a different perspective on the situation in Ukraine. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine inherited a large portion of its nuclear arsenal making it the third largest nuclear power at the time. Think about it. That's 33 years ago. Ukraine was number 3. 33 years ago, Ukraine's number 3 in the world.
In terms of total bombs.
In terms of total bombs, that's a freaking lot of power, right?
Of course.
Yes. So most people forget that in 94, Ukraine agrees to dismantle its nuclear arsenal in exchange for security assurances from Russia, the U.S., and the U.K., formalized in the Budapest memorandum. The process was strongly encouraged by the U.S. under President Bill Clinton. Imagine agreeing with a neighbor to give up your guns on the promise they'll protect you if danger arises. Later, their friends start shooting at you, and you're only given tools to protect your yard, not yourself. Now Russia strikes Ukraine weekly with hundreds of drones and rockets, targeting civilians in all cities, causing massive casualties. If this were a business deal, how important do you think the ethical aspects of such an agreement would be, and how would you handle this situation? Tom?
Well, it was Russia, the U.S., and U.K., I think, that were at the end of World War II, that were sitting there talking about Germany. Remember that? There's the 3 of them sitting there. And then later, Russia broke ranks, and Germany, the Berlin Wall, and everything with it. So there is something to be said here, is that there was a treaty that was put in place, and then there's a couple things that happened. One, suddenly the U.S. and U.S. proxies in NATO were trying to get the Ukraine to join, and then Russia, who's in the treaty, goes, whoa, wait a minute. We have this treaty here. I told you I didn't want Ukraine in NATO. Russia has never wavered on not wanting Ukraine to be part of NATO. I thought we had a treaty here. So Russia feels that the West instigated NATO and pissed it off. The West is saying, dude, after the Soviet Union, you're just trying to rebuild everything back together. You're trying to put Humpty Dumpty together again. And you want Crimea specifically. You want the access to the Black Sea and all this. And so in terms of a business deal, it's like, people on both sides messed with it, but then Russia went and got active on a military basis. They started not just lawsuits; they went after it.
What's your position on what he said? This message that he sent me,
Pat. This is where I'm coming from.
I think it's.
I know. I think
stay on this point. Stay on this point. What he's saying. So what he's saying is this is important because to some of the Ukraine. The other day, I'm in a car in Orlando yesterday. We're driving. The driver's Russian. And I'm trying to kind of get a feel. I said, hey, do you work for the guys? Yes. So I said, I can't really openly talk to my employees about what we're thinking about doing with the event here. He said, I totally understand. I said, so where are you from, Russia? When did you leave 25 years ago? How's the situation? My brother's still living there. What happened when you came here? My husband and I are here. Our family's here. When's the last time you went to Russia? I haven't gone for 25 years. How do you feel about Putin? He says, I loved Putin 2 years ago. Everybody hates Putin right now in Russia. Why is that? Everyone's afraid of him. Why are they afraid of him? Because he's become a dictator. So I'm thinking this girl is going to be a pro-Ukraine liberal type of person. I said, so how do you feel about Trump? She says, well, I know I can talk to you. We love him. I said, who loves him? He says, everybody in Russia loves Trump. I said, well, so let me get this straight. Russians right now are upset with Putin, but they love Trump? Yes. Why? He says, imagine if your kids died for a war that you don't want to be a part of, and there's a guy that can come and stop the war. So the position he's taken, she was a pro-Trump, anti-Putin because they just want people to stop dying.
Yeah, they want
What
peace.
an interesting
That's great.
perspective. This is a reasonable person we're talking to, right? But this guy is saying, hey, man, what the hell? We made a deal in 1991, 33 years ago. We gave you everything. We were number 3 in the world. We could have been a force to be reckoned with. And now you're attacking us? What's that all about? What do you say to that guy?
Who's he saying that's attacking him?
He's saying now we're defending, we're okay with Russia attacking Ukraine, and you're allowing that war happen. Why is Russia attacking Ukraine? Their job was to defend us because we gave all our nuclear weapons. I have an argument. I want to know what you think about it.
I honestly, it hits
Okay.
me.
Vinny, Adam, what would you say to that?
So you don't need to play the video. It'll be important to show these images. I was just in Washington, D.C. It was the 1,000th day anniversary, so to speak, of the Ukraine-Russian war. And I said, listen, I have this opportunity to speak with Ukrainian soldiers in front of the White House. Let me seize the moment here, right? So I speak with this guy. I don't know if you have the other video as well. Interviewing actual soldiers. One of the guys had his limbs blown off. He's in a wheelchair, but there's American flags, there's Ukrainian flags. I'm like, hey guys, I just want to ask you guys some questions, see what you got going on here. Here's my biggest takeaways from this. I believe that Donald Trump has the ability to win a Nobel Peace Prize if he can end this war. And he said on record he believes that he can stop the war and possibly before he even takes office, right? He said that. By the way, do you know Barack Obama won a Nobel Peace Prize. Do you know how soon into his presidency he won a Nobel Peace Prize?
2 months?
I think it was 270 days. I think it was like immediately after he took office.
Somehow Tom knows this ridiculous number. It was 9 months into him taking office.
Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah.
And he won it on the inspiration of hope, not because he did anything per se, because he was inspiring hope. So it was
And a
on
big speech at the Berlin Wall.
There it was. So some of his accomplishments were he was strengthening international diplomacy. Some may say he was doing an apology tour for America, right? He was encouraging nuclear disarmaments, even though it didn't necessarily begin at that point. And he was, again, renewing the climate of hope. So he came in with this hope and change, but nothing necessarily is manufactured. But it's now officially the 1,000th day. I think we're on
What are you saying
1,001.
to this guy? We were on this topic.
So here's
What's
my
your
point.
with this guy?
After interviewing this guy, I said, "What do you think should happen in the war?" And he was the spokesperson. He goes, "Putin is Hitler." This whole talking point. I'm like, "Putin is Hitler? That's what you're giving me?" And I said, a lot of people in America have heard this about Trump. Trump's Hitler. Trump's Hitler. The whole Hitler thing, it's being watered down and it's basically being marginalized. Hitler killed 6 million Jews.
Adam, what is
however
the
many-
point with this guy saying the fact that stay on this point? You just went 3 topics that we could have gone later.
I didn't really necessarily know what this guy's point is. I have a point though.
But no, it's your
Okay.
point on this point. I'll come back to
What would you like me to respond to exactly? This
You didn't
guy's-
hear anything I said?
I
I
did.
read it twice.
I did.
Okay, so what do you have to say about what the guy says?
I think that I don't even know what this guy said. to be
Okay,
honest with
so
you.
then hang
Yeah.
tight. I'll come back to you on the
Yeah.
point you're making. I understand the point you were trying to make about nuclear, the nuclear, what do you call it? The Nobel
Disarmament,
Prize for
yes.
him to get because of what he could do. I agree.
Why is this guy's point so important?
The reason why, because there is a split where some people are like, well, are you okay with this happening, et cetera, et cetera. This happened at a different time that the negotiation took place in 91. Putin's sitting there saying, that was your mistake. Why would you even do that in the first place? You should have never given it up. You gave it up for exchange. That was your bad negotiation. So if you had a leader that negotiated in a weak way for your country, you pay a price for that. You voted for that person. You guys chose to give that up. You didn't have to give it up, right? You didn't have to do that. And then at the same side, when some of the Ukrainians are like, well, what do you want them to do? Well, gradually, these guys have been getting closer and closer to NATO, so both ways promises are not being kept. If your promise was you're not going to go be part of NATO, and now you're pursuing it, and then they're going to be like, if you're not holding the end of the bargain of you not even getting close to NATO, you are getting close to NATO, you are getting close to all these guys, anything we ever negotiated in the past is over with. Anything we negotiated in the past is over with. That's the point with what this guy is saying. He's saying that it's not fair what took place. 1, you had a bad deal. 2, once you don't keep the end of your bargain, you're right. You lose all of it. However, while this is taking place, Tom, what kind of a sign is it when U.S. closes embassy in Kiev over potential significant air attacks as tensions with Russia? So, Rob, I think you have this clip here on what they're saying. If you want to play this clip, go for it.
In the last few minutes, the United States has announced it is closing its embassy in Kiev today and instructing employees there to shelter. That's after receiving what it describes as specific information of a potentially significant air attack. Well, overnight, Ukraine's military says Kiev's air defense units were deployed in defense of the city. Witnesses told the Reuters news agency that they heard multiple blasts.
Okay, so that's happening. Escalation's happening, World War III. He's dropping bombs to tell you, if I had a warhead in there, I would destroy you. All of this is going on simultaneously. Trump, I believe he said somewhere that I may have to go to Russia now to stop it. By the way, if he goes and stops this war, Ukraine-Russia, if he goes and stops everything that's going on with Israel, and if he does, the idea that he deserves a Nobel Prize would be a what? An understatement. You make a very good point if he does that. I mean, that is arguably, who would disagree? By the way, Tom, what is the process of Nobel Prize? If he's able to do that, who nominates? Because most of the Nobel winners are on the left.
Yeah, exactly. The Nobel Prizes, you can go look this up, are given through an arcane nomination process, and they go into a back room and they decide who they're going to give it to. And the Nobel Peace Prize is basically a political football. You know, you look around the world at people that have really caused peace, and you have Obama made a couple speeches as soon as he was inaugurated in 2009. Oh my goodness, we give it to for fostering an environment of peace. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Remember, Jimmy Carter actually got, Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat, correct?
Yeah,
to come to Camp David for a week and to hash it out. So for all the things that Jimmy Carter did to the economy, there's somebody actually doing something. Now it's a backroom deal. It's like, it doesn't have a lot of credibility with the mainstream populace because they look at it and said, no, this is a liberal think tank that just hands them out. Now, the medicine ones and the mathematical ones are a little more quantitative, like, did you really do something? But the Nobel Peace Prize is like, you today I look at it and it's, you get to be king of the liberal think tank. That's what it meant, is that you were in line with the liberal think tank. You said some nice things, did some things. Here's your Peace Prize.
And going back to what you asked, when you're closing an embassy, that means it's about to go down, Pat. That means it's about to happen. And the fact that I was on the show the other day, they're like, oh, Putin's already threatened nuclear war before. It's at a point right now, especially with this administration that just wants a war. I don't know why a lot of people out there aren't getting it. And they're like, no, he's done this before. I don't care about the threats. You don't play around with somebody that's talking about this type of escalation this fast. And we know Anthony Blinken is in front of the camera going, hey, we got to hurry up and send $8 billion of our dollars to them before January 20th. They're trying to rush this thing. They want a war with this guy. And I don't think, Pat,
all available appropriations left in 2024. We need to use them.
Yeah. Do you think you think Putin is kind of just jokingly threatening nukes?
Well, let me tell you, Macron called him and said, hey, don't do anything, man. Hang tight. And I'm telling you right now, Trump is the only guy that he's willing to negotiate with because he believes Trump's going to keep the deal. By the way, Brandon just sent me this here, going back to telling you a little bit about history. In 1990, Gorbachev accepted Germany's reunification and its continued membership in NATO under the explicit condition that NATO would not expand past Germany.
Okay.
Past Germany. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker, read a book on this guy's phenomenal, interesting guy, hated by some, loved by some, but definitely respected. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher made verbal assurances to Soviet leader Gorbachev that in February 1990, Baker famously told him that NATO would move not 1 inch eastward beyond Germany. And what happened? They moved. What do you think he's going to do? You didn't keep the end of the deal.
That's exactly what I was talking about. And remember, you asked me the other day, the Tuesday podcast, you said, what do you think Putin does? And I said, I think he's got to do something, and I think he's got to drop something on an urban city. Remember I commented that he's got to make a thing. So what did he do? He launched long ranges, and the long range things dropped in some areas that didn't cause a lot of damage, thank God. But what did he say?
He said,
I can come all the way from here to your front door, dude.
Yep.
Do not screw with this.
But let me ask you, Tom. Go to it. Go to there, and Adam, I'm going to come to you with this one.
And I agree. Trump's got to be the guy to come in there and say, Vlad, I get it, but you got to calm down.
And by the way, remember, multiple presidents from Russia asked to join NATO each time they were turned down. Why'd you turn down the membership? What's your point? Well, if I'm willing to join, why are you turning it down? Why are you not interested? Why does Clinton first say, yes, let's talk about joining NATO, and then 8 minutes later, whatever it is, well, not right now, maybe later. Yeah. Why not? We had interest to wanting to have peace. So this is the part where, you hear the pundits, what they're saying. You hear what streets, the people, the voters are saying. You hear what the actual leaders are saying, their argument, Putin's argument, Zelensky's argument. You hear all they're saying, and you have to sit there and be like, dude. And then you go study a little bit of history on what happened in the past. Look, this didn't just accidentally happen, right? You don't just one day wake up and say, yeah, let's go attack them. No, you've been poking the bear. So, question here. What does Zelensky need to do? That's what the sound is. It's this chair that keeps making that sound. Back up a little bit. That keeps hitting the bottom of it. I keep hearing this.
Put this down.
Yeah, this is what's making the sound. I'm
Guys,
like, what is
I'm
that
so
sound?
sorry, man. That's my first time.
We thought there was a mouse in here rapping.
Listen, but let me tell you this. So, okay, so far, here's what we've learned. How many Russians have died?
Hundreds of thousands.
No,
I hear 500,000, 2 million.
Russians.
And
what about
same as
pull
well?
up? I think it's even, Steven. Some say more Russians than Ukrainians. Some say more Ukrainians.
Before you even pull this up,
depends on who's writing it.
I've actually read on this. They said collectively, there's been collective million people either dead or injured.
That's
Okay, so now watch this.
We're not talking tens of thousands.
No,
we're talking hundreds of thousands, possibly even million.
But here's the point. So you are the leader of Russia. Think like him. Former KGB, strategic. You are all about USSR. You are about that.
Yes.
Right? Okay. They killed 500,000 of your people. You threaten with a nuclear weapon. You do nothing. They keep attacking. They say, let's accelerate the process of going to NATO. Zelensky keeps coming to U.S. and U.S. defends him. EU defends him. Everybody's taking his sides. They keep giving him money, right? Weapons, everything, whatever way you want to say it. Long-range missiles. You do it, I'm gonna drop a nuclear weapon on you. He does it. Biden says do it. U.S. says do it. They do it. You now are sitting here with your handlers. You have a countdown. You know how you're in the military, you can't wait to get out of boot camp and you go like this? You know which one I'm talking about. Like you're in jail, you're counting, you do these, this is how many days I got. I mean, I remember my locker had this with boot camp, right? We're going through it. You're counting down 60 until Trump's here. A guy that you can negotiate with. Tough guy, but at least you can negotiate with. What does Zelensky have to do now? What else can Zelensky do for you to use a nuclear weapon? What? It's either nothing, he can spit in your face, and you're not going to do anything. So guess what? Imagine if you're fighting somebody, you spit in the guy's face. He's been telling he's going to nuke you. He's been telling he's going to punch you in the face. You push him, doesn't punch. You kick him, doesn't punch. You call his girl out, doesn't punch. You throw a rock at him, doesn't punch. You hit him with a bat, doesn't punch. You spit him in the face, he doesn't punch. What does it tell you eventually? This guy's not going to punch. Mm-hmm. Or what needs to happen for you to throw the punch that you claim you're going to throw? Mm-hmm. Maybe Putin is just not going to do it. It's either your risk is you have two choices, okay? You have a hand. Everything's out. You know you have a decent hand. But you know that guy's been chasing the flush. And the last one, a hard hit, 6 of hearts. There's 3 hearts that you're like, oh, shit. If that guy's got it, do you go all in to call his bluff? What do you do? He's playing poker right now with the world. Mm-hmm. So the risk is, you know what? F it. Putin's not going to do shit. And you're right. So let's go through it.
Okay.
He's not going to do shit. Okay? And you're right. Okay? Or guess what? You're going to attack him, and he is going to do shit, and you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the deal. Or you don't do anything, and you wait. So we do nothing. Do nothing till Trump. Okay? Which, if Zelensky really wants the relationship, you do nothing till Trump is here. Because what he's doing right now, he's not helping his relationship with Trump. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? You're listening to Biden? You think you're leveraging your negotiation better when I come in? This is what you're doing? And then you want to have a relationship with me, and in my face, you know you're saying you're still going to shoot long-range missiles. You're listening to Biden over me. He's only going to be here for 60 days. No problem, guy, when I come in, right? That's the part that they're flirting with. But so far, Putin's proven he's not going to pull nuclear.
But Pat, that same chart that you have with the 60, Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, all these defense contracting billionaire companies, they all have that chart too, and their attitude's opposite. Their attitude is like, listen, we need a war. What are we going to keep doing to get it with this guy if we think he's not going to do it? But I think anything that flirts with nuclear war is, they need to stop, because that's what they're trying to do.
Think like Putin and his people, Tom.
Correct.
Think like them.
And by the way, strongmen have been saying, oh, I'm going to do nukes. I'm going to do the big bombs. They've been saying it for generations, right? How many times do they say it against Israel? One more time and we will bring the fires of hell. One more time and we will unleash everything we have, even if they're not nukes, right? This is the way strongmen talk. But what you have to respect is Putin. And I think that there's a bunch of people out there that want folks to believe that Putin's on the edge of doing it. We got to do this. I don't think Joe Biden said squat. I believe that comment was placed and put by Blinken and the shadow government that's there behind him that want this war. This war has been the biggest money laundering effort in the history of the last 100 years. Those dollars, half of them are making U-turns and coming back to U.S. defense contractors. Because when I give him $1 billion to go buy tanks, where does he get the tanks?
From us.
He calls General Dynamics. Hey, I need 5 Model 7s and 44 Model 8s. Can you FedEx them? Can I pay for Amazon Prime? Can I get them by Thursday? You know, that's what's going on here. And right now, there are people that want the economic benefit of war because of a huge economic benefit to the USA and the huge manipulative benefit that the globalists want. That's what they want. But I don't think Putin's going to take the next move. I said he had to show something. He had to show a response. So he just showed that he could launch.
What does Zelensky or U.S. have to do for him to drop a nuclear bomb next 60 days? Nothing? Nothing?
I don't think
flirt with his girl. Talk to his wife. What do they need to do for him to do anything?
Look, I don't think the
answer is either something or nothing.
I don't think there's anything that Zelensky can do short of a really highly escalated, like a military weapon.
Like what though, Tom?
No, if Zelensky...
I know, but what? Like if he uses what?
I have an idea.
Well, no, remember, he's launching these... Zelensky launched things into Russia into military backup. Mm-hmm. So he launched them into supply lines. He didn't go further than that. If Zelensky you understand what I'm saying? If he goes to a real Russian target, I think Putin will step. But he's only been launching to backup supply lines and where the troops are.
Yeah.
Okay, so why is he not launching?
Who? Putin?
What is his fear of not launching?
If Zelensky escalates this,
yes,
he's a dead man. I happen to think that right now, Zelensky is probably a dead man.
What does that mean?
I think that what's about to happen is they're going to calm this war down. Russia's going to take Crimea. There's going to be a border similar to North Korea and the DMZ. The West has been doing that way, similar to the West Bank between Egypt and Israel. This is how modern wars have been solved. And Russia's going to get a strip. Russia's going to get Crimea. Russia's going to get what it's want. All of our media is going to say, see, Trump gave it the sovereign territory back to him. But it's been happening over and over. And then I think the thing calms down. And then I think somebody, whether it's the other side of Ukraine, remember there's a whole other side in Ukraine that does not like Zelensky. He took out other guys. There's people that don't like that, and Putin doesn't like that. I think Zelensky gets assassinated.
Well,
I don't mean tomorrow morning, but I don't think Zelensky lives to see the end of the next 4 years.
And let's not forget maybe a rogue element. Like, remember the movie Some of All Feels? All you need is some rogue element to go into Russia, PBD, with a tactical nuke or something smaller and detonate it, and then it's over.
Rapid fire. I think, listen, nobody, and I mean nobody, wants a nuclear war. And there's a lot of rhetoric out there, but I think everybody understands that once nuclear war starts, nobody wins. Both sides are going to have death and destruction. America, at the very least, understands the fact that we have the greatest defense mechanism of all time, and it's called the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and we're not in this world. Number two.
Well, it's not the war, it's the climate change. It's the nuclear winter, and it's the fallout.
Nobody wants it, is my point. Number two, I think if anything happened to Moscow or the capital, St. Pete, anything like that, we'd have some issues on our hands. That's why they're kind of dealing with certain components of where they're at on the border. Number three, Tom made a great point. You know how much money has gone to Ukraine from the United States and the EU?
200 billion?
According to the stats, Ukraine, this is before they've even sent it, 175 billion from the US, 100 billion from the EU. You talk about what's going on in Israel. Since 1948, 75 plus years, you know how much the aid the United States have given to Israel? 158 billion. In 75 plus years, it doesn't equal what they've given to Ukraine in 2 years. Jeez. Follow the money. We talked about this about a year ago. The most corrupt country in all of Europe, the EU, is number one, Russia. Number two is Ukraine. So who knows where all this money is going, where all this money is flowing. Follow the money. But here's the thing. Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. A deal's got to get done here. Nobody has the stomach to sustain this war anymore.
I'm just telling you, everybody in the world, including in Europe or surrounding countries and U.S., 60 days can't come fast enough. That's all I'm telling you. 60 days can't come fast enough because this could have been an opportunity for Biden to intercept Trump's, opportunity to save the day and bring these two guys together and stop the war. Instead, he's hurting his legacy. If this thing continues this way, if there is one in this situation,
Quick question for you, PB.
Yeah, Nobel Sleep Prize.
You know how you always talk about who's in your ear, who's in your ear. Who do you think Putin actually respects and is in his ear? Trump, possibly one of them. I mean, if you go down the list of who are Russia's allies, number one, I think, is Belarus. Nobody's intimidated by Belarus. Then you have China. Then you have Bashar al-Assad in Syria.
North Korea.
You got North Korea. You got Cuba. You got Venezuela. Who actually would Putin listen to and say, all right, man, it's time to end this war? Who do you think he would actually listen to?
I think it's going to be Xi or Trump. I think it's those two. He knows. Listen, when you've been in room with, okay, you're 16 years old. Somebody did something to one of our friend's sisters. Not like this has happened to me. I'm just telling a story. You're 16 years old. You're in a room. It's like, listen, guys, that guy did this to my sister, and here's what's going on. Really? Yeah. You're in a room with 5 of your friends. Okay, it's very simple. And you're let's just say you're the head guy that you say, hey, what did they do to your sister? They did this. Really? Who? Boom. Seriously? Yeah. One guy says, we should kill him. So you already know that guy's who? That guy's the North Korea guy. Go straight to what? We should kill him. Everybody has that one friend. One guy says, dude, it's not a big deal. Let's just kind of move on. I mean, it's going to happen. You know who that guy is. He's the one that's afraid of conflict. This guy just wants conflict, right? Then you got the one guy that says, well, have you spoken to him yet? Why don't we go talk to him? And if they don't give the respect, guess what? He has to know you can't do stuff like that. Okay. And then this guy says what? I'm game. Whatever's going on, you tell me. Hey, I can't tell you what we're doing. I can't tell you this. Go ahead, say the line.
I need your help. I
Whose
can't
car
tell
we
you what it
taking?
is.
Yeah.
You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we taking?
Ooh, I love that guy.
So that's this guy.
Yeah.
But this is the guy you need to listen to. This is the guy that's reason. He's the pansy. He's the killer. This guy's like the flag carrier, but this guy's the reason, voice of reason. You have to listen to this guy. Trust me, Putin knows who wants the war. Putin knows who's afraid. Putin knows who's like this ride or die. But it's not a reason guy. And Putin knows who's the voice. He knows this guy's been with gangsters. You know when you're dealing with that community who to listen to, who not to listen to. He can't wait to sit down and negotiate with somebody that can actually deliver. And that guy's name is Trump, but he's got to wait 60 days. Anyways, we'll see what's going to happen. God willing, nothing happens, folks. And, a lot of good news. And if there's not a Nobel Prize, maybe they'll give him a different kind of a prize, a George Washington Prize. I don't know. I don't know what they do here, but there's going to be some kind of recognition of peace going to Trump here if Nobel doesn't want to give it to him. Even this guy here, we are excited about the Christmas season being here. The former presidential candidate that was running, Kamala, said the following thing about Christmas, and I want to tell you what happened with this hat here. Rob, play this clip.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Oh, my God.
How dare we?
Wow.
Well, guess what? We're saying Merry Christmas again.
For this Christmas season, Valuetainment, we sat there, our team agreed, we're going to come out with Merry Christmas gear. Bold. FYI, we launched these 3 hats, okay, last week. These 3 hats, limited numbers that we launched, just to see how the market was going to react to it. Do you know which one sold out within seconds? This was gone in no time. There were people that bought 10 of these at a time, okay? This was gone. Right now, we have 16, 17 of these left. If nothing's been ordered right now, they can order. Rob, if you can go to vtmerch.com, specifically the Christmas season gear, if you can go there. There's some interesting scripture in the middle of these hats. For those of you that are going to church, you're going to like the scripture that's in here. If you order it, you'll see it. We have a ton of Christmas gear. Future looks bright, Christmas gear. Yesterday, I was in Orlando, walking around, looking at a couple events to possibly do an event in the future. And you know what was amazing? I saw folks wearing the Valuetainment Future Looks Bright gear running up. PBD Future Looks Bright. I loved taking pictures, videos with them. I have in my phone right now probably 100 pictures of folks that are posting Valuetainment gear, Future Looks Bright, with kids, with families, voting, all of it. Anybody that places an order right now of the Christmas gear, you will get a free, ornament sent to you. So during Christmas, on your tree, you will have one of the best Christmas trees in the world because it's going to have the Future Looks Bright red ornament on it. So go place your gear, order specifically if you want to get one of these because this one's flying. You got the ugly sweaters. You got also some stuff for your kids, babies as well, if you want to get them a onesie. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.